This all started with me and Morris when I was about 11, 12, I reckon.
11.
Yeah, he knows more than me. He's got a better memory than me, but he'll probably correct me everywhere, all the way along. But I used to play for Beaumont FC. That was a Leighton team. Sunday mornings. In the same team used to be Martin Hayes, Jimmy Carter, Perry Suckling, another lad Joe Bonzi, Vince Hilaire's brother Julian. Fantastic team we had. We used to rip teams apart, used to win 4, 5, 6-0 on a Sunday morning. Martin Hayes would get 3, Jimmy Carter would get 2 and Julian would get 1.
Didn't you score?
I might have scored the odd one here and there. And I'd come off and I'd be like, fantastic again, wouldn't we? Martin was brilliant when he'd come up to me and he'd say, yeah, but Ted, you knitted it all together. You was the man that knitted it all together. And I went, no, I don't believe that. And he kept telling me, and he kept telling me, and he kept telling me. And before long, I believed it myself that I was half decent. And that's the sort of backing you needed as a kid to make you believe that you were a good player. I wasn't the one that caught the eye right there and everyone went, wow, what a player he is. You know, we had Martin Hayes that used to run past everyone. Jimmy Carter was fantastic, and it was, you know, playing with good players around me. And he went, yeah, but you knit it all together. And I was like, you just don't see that as a kid when you're a youngster. And he's the man that believed in me and gave me the confidence to go on to bigger and better things.
I went to see Perry Suckling trialling for Millwall Forest schoolboys under 11s. And I wasn't watching Perry, I was a little fair-headed kid up front. And I said to Perry Suckling's father, that's a future international. He said, what are you seeing in him? I said, watch him. Stand and watch him like me. He went, yeah, I see what you mean. A give and receive a ball for a kid 6 or 7 years above the others. And you could see he had it there. And I even told his father, Paul, I said, this kid will play for England one day, and Paul thought I was crackers.
Yeah, we all did. Giving us confidence to go out there and play the way we did as kids, you know, to go out there and enjoy what we did. And then if things hadn't gone so well, or you felt things hadn't gone so well, he would still be there to say, well played again today, son. Some of the things you did out there was fantastic. And you'd be like, really? Really? You know, when you're not sure about yourself, you could quite easily have gone home in the car and gone, oh, that was bad again today, Dad. And he'd go, well done, son. That what you did there and that what you did there, different class. And you'd be like, oh, really? Fantastic. And you felt like you was going to be walking 10 foot tall all the way home. How can I not support Morris, what he does, for the support he gave me when I needed it most as a young boy, as a young footballer, trying to make my way in the game, you know. So when he phones up and says, I'm doing this, I'm putting this charity on, we're going to try and earn some more money for Great Ormond Street Hospital, let's do it. I've got to try and help, and how couldn't I?
Look, there's young kids that play with me, they could hardly kick a ball, but they wouldn't get in the teams. They have a little bit of class about it, and I always look for class. He's the best player that ever played for me, without a shadow of a doubt. And the thing is this, he had the lot, left foot, right foot, head, scoring wise, but his position on the field, and the position he played in, just behind the centre forwards, he would give balls and receive balls, and he was doing that when he was 11 years of age. That is the difference, class. And if you know anything about football, you only have to know a little bit about it. And you see something like this fella comes along, you know you've got class.
To say that he picked up the best players, I mean, it's an art. You don't just pick them up. He would watch players over and over again. He said to me one day, 12 years old, and he's like, I want you to come and watch this boy that plays on the right wing. We went down Leabridge Road, further down Leabridge Road on the left-hand side, and it was like little Jimmy Carter, little whippet he was. And he said, come and watch this boy play, you'd be fantastic with him. And I watched him, and it was like, wow, yeah, what, you're going to try and get him? He said, I've already got him, I've already spoke to his dad, he's coming to play for us next season. Wow, can't wait, you know. And he would pluck players from here, there, and everywhere, and piece them together. A little bit like your Harry Redknapp's, that, you know, is not one that in the big world, as such. He would piece players together, and he'd go and pluck a player to play with that one that would gel the team all together, and that's what he did.
I didn't have to tell him to do nothing. I was pleased he went to Millwall, because one of my best pals, Bob Pearson, he come and watched him playing a night game, right, playing for Mel Gibson, and they said to me, we've got to sign it with Millwall. I said, yeah, you've got to sign it with Millwall. Not thinking about Paul, his dad was a policeman, and I'm asking the boy to go to Millwall. You can understand, can't you? But he went to Millwall. Before that, though, he went and played at little clubs so they could see who he was. But when he went to Millwall, he made his career. That was the start of his career. And his old mate Castrino, brilliant with him. They're still mates today.
Another shank, Cash. You going to run and get that one and all?
We did do well together. I think in a roundabout way, I've missed Teddy more than Teddy's missed me. Teddy's gone on scoring, and I felt not playing with a partner at club level didn't really help me so much. I didn't realise how lucky I was to play with someone as good as Teddy at the time.
I do miss
I'm going to get the Yankee out in a minute.
I was playing for Leytonstone Ilford for the youth team against Millwall youth team, and we played them one night, and I think we won 2-1, and I scored the 2 goals. And Bob Pearson, the ex-chief scout at Millwall, asked me to come down for a 4-game trial. And I played about 3 games, and he offered me apprentice forms and snapped them up.
Castrino never played in really my sides, but I used to watch him play with Cassie over at Millwall, and that's how I like people to knit. They make one another.
I was very lucky that you talked about where I went after Morris from my school days. I went to play for Millwall. He talks about Bob Pearson being a good mate. He was the next man that had faith in me. Whether it was from Morris that he told him, or whether Bob could see it as well. Bob had a great way of picking out players, didn't he? Picking youngsters that were going to go on to bigger and better things. And then all of a sudden Bob would tell me how good I was. And I would think, well, was I? Still with that undecided sort of not sure about myself, 15, 16-year-old. Well played again today, son. You were the one that knitted it all together. So I was very lucky to have Morris first of all, and then to be passed on to Bob and have that young man scenario at Millwall. And Roger Cross was my coach there, who had just finished playing, who was a similar player to me, left-footed but technically very good, not the quickest, quite aware on the football pitch, lovely technique in his shooting and his finishing, and he was my coach. Very lucky in having him there. He brought me on as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, so I had a lot of help in the right direction as a youngster.
Going back to that, he said he had a lot of help. The biggest help he had was from Edward Sheringham, without a shadow of a doubt. They wouldn't play him if he was no good. And it didn't take the brains of Lloyd George to see how good he was. Even people who don't know nothing about football, they watch him, they've been thrilled with him. Right? The age he played till, and look at him today, look, he's as fit as a fiddle. And that's why he's kept himself well. He likes a drink, he does, right? But he kept himself well. A lot of footballers never kept themselves like him. And he's played with the best players in the world he's played with and against. And they don't all look like him today, Steve. He looks the part. And that's why I could never say enough about this kid. He knows what I think of him anyway. I don't have to tell you that. He knows what I think of him.
Scary for a young Millwall player trying to break through the ranks to get into the first team. Very scary. So you can imagine what it was like for opposition coming down to play against us, can you? Oh, ferocious. Absolutely ferocious. But you always knew that if you broke the Millwall fans, you know, if you got into their hearts, you stay there forever, and that's what you had to do. You had to take the criticism, but come back fighting. And if you come back fighting and you still produced, then they would take you to their hearts, and that's what they did. Morris's nephew Phil has very kindly given me a membership up here, and I have a handicap of 3 and played just under that today, so I was quite pleased with how I played. It's not going to win any prizes or anything because there's a lot of bandits up here today, so but all good fun, fantastic year, course is in great nick, and Morris putting on a charity do like this. Look at everybody around us, all having a good time. Weather's out, beautiful for us as well. Yeah, my memories about George Graham. I used to, when I was a young lad, a little bit flashy, a little bit cocky, thought I knew it all. Used to chip the keeper, curl it in the top corners, and George Graham used to say to me nearly every day, don't want to see flash goals, don't want to see pretty goals, they're only one goal. It only means one goal. So just get in the 6-yard box, scruffy goals off your shin, off your hip, who gives a monkeys? Just get the ball in the back of the net, get in front of the keeper, blast it, make sure it's the back of the net. I don't want to see pretty goals. And all the rest of the players used to say to me, he hates you, didn't he? And it wasn't until the next manager came in and was telling me the same thing. John Docherty and Frank McClintock was telling me the same thing, you know, just hit the back of the net. It was like, oh, perhaps it's not all about hating me, it's about making me a better player. And it took me a little while to realise that. Yeah, when Neil Ruddock was he was a little skinny left winger, if anyone can believe that. Tall and skinny, about 6'2" at the time. He was 16, I would be 17, playing in the same Millwall youth team. And he used to come in at the far post, big headers at the far post, or get down the left-hand side and whip balls in for me. Then all of a sudden, Tottenham made a bid for him, 50 grand for him to go to Tottenham, and it was out of the blue. It was a big commotion around the training ground at one time. I remember it still to this day, and everyone's like, have you heard Neil Ruddock's going to Tottenham, 50 grand? And he was like, what? And I told Neil recently, I was absolutely delighted for him, but at the same time I was like, why ain't that me? Why are they picking him? And Terry Venables obviously saw something in him, because I think about 6 months later he was playing centre half as a youngster for Tottenham. So they obviously saw that he wasn't a left winger, wasn't a striker, and put him at centre half. So ended up going on and having a good career. Got sent out on loan to Aldershot for a month. Thought I was gonna sail it. Think I was gonna, just go down. I was going down a league from the 3rd division to the 4th division at the time, so in the 4th tier of English football, and just thought this is going to be easy. And I got kicked from pillar to post, didn't get a touch of the ball. I was getting smashed in the air from big centre arse. I remember one in particular, big Wakely Gage, his name was, 6'4", felt like he was about 6'10" at the time, because I wasn't as big and as strong as I developed to, but he used to smash me about all over the place. I forget who he was playing for, but I was down there for a month. I think I had 6 games and never got a kick, and it made me realise I've got to go back to Millwall, and I'm playing with decent players here, a lot better than what I was at Aldershot. I need to pull my finger out and make sure I get in the first team here. It was a big eye-opener for me. I've got a lot to thank Roger Cross for in my career. He was a centre forward that had just left-footed centre forward, not the quickest, good technique. He just retired at Millwall, and he took on the youth team manager's role just as I was coming to play for the youth team. He was actually there the night I was asked to go down to Millwall with a trial. Him and Bob Pearson were there that night and said, we want to take you on a 6-game trial. I had 4 games, and they asked me did I want to sign apprentice, so I was absolutely delighted. And Roger was my coach. Every afternoon we used to be out shooting practice, free kicks, volleys, headers, you name it. Neil Ruddock again, we was out in the afternoons, all the boys that wanted to go out, and we'd done our training in the morning. Roger would come to us and say, look, we're going to do a bit of technique finishing this afternoon, do you fancy it? It's like, yeah, cool, what else am I going to do? Just going to go home? This is what life's all about. Teach me how I can get better so that when I get the chance on a Saturday afternoon playing for the first team, I can score that goal when I need to. I need to know that art. And he used to show us the technique of the different volleys, paintbrush volleys, on the side volleys, but just Roger had beautiful technique, and it was like, the way he used to just strike it, all his arms were in the right place, and he just used to technique it, and it was like, I want to score a goal like that. And pretty similar to the way George Graham showed me how to head a ball, getting across the near post, heading it, flicking it into the far corner, going to the far post, heading it back where it came from. It was just an education, not just someone telling you what they want to do. They would actually put on the demonstration and show you exactly. They would tell you what they wanted, then they would put the demonstration on and show you exactly how you wanted it to be done. And it would be like, I want to score a goal like that. And you'd practice right foot and left foot, the headers, and before you know it, you're heading it and volleying it or shooting it how they were showing you. Once I came back from Aldershot, didn't break into the Millwall team, and George Graham said to me, I want you to go on loan. And I was like, again, okay. I thought I was getting close to the first team. He said, well, you're not going to be playing in the first team for the next 6 months, so I want you to go on loan to Djurgården in Stockholm, in Sweden. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't want me here, then I might as well, go and ply my trade somewhere else. And it was fantastic. Played in the second division there, lived with 2 other young lads. I think I was 18 at the time. Lived with 2 Swedish lads, Leif Nilsson and Kenneth Johansson. Great lads, used to go to training. They used to go to work in the daytime, and then we used to train about 4 or 5 o'clock at night. And there was another lad there, Stefan Rehn, who went on to play for Gothenburg as well. And we used to do the training. I used to get there early, and we was training in a big stadium on a beautiful pitch with lovely balls and lovely climate. It was just beautiful. Lovely little team that I played for. And we went on to win the second division title there, and I ended up top scorer for Djurgården and in the league, I think. And we got promoted to the Allsvenskan, which was my first success in football, so loved every minute of it. Later on in my life, I heard that when George Graham was the manager of Millwall, he offered me to Brentford for £5,000, and the manager at the time was, the management was John Docherty and Frank McClintock, and they didn't want me. And I didn't find this out until later on in life, and I'm glad I didn't, because when George left, Docherty and Frank McClintock came into Millwall as the management team, and I thought to myself, oh great, we've got a new management coming in. I didn't realise that they'd turned down that offer and they didn't fancy me, but I don't know whether they didn't have any money or whether I'd changed as a player or what, but all I know is John Docherty was fantastic for my career. Persevered with me as a young pro, put me in the first team, and I loved playing football for him. He was. I think we were lucky enough to get a few quid to spend that summer when he came in. He brought in Cascarino. Tony Cascarino came in as the main striker. I fed off him. They brought in Kevin O'Callaghan, George Lawrence and Steve Wood. They brought in 4 big money players for Millwall, and added to that all the players that I'd come through the ranks with and had a great understanding with, people like Keith Stevens, Alan McCleary, Nicky Coleman, Jimmy Carter wide on the right, Terry Hurlock and Les Briley were all already at the club, I think, or they might have joined a little bit later, but around that time. Brian Orme was the goalkeeper, and it was just we had a lovely unity amongst ourselves coming through. And when those boys come in and kind of bolstered our team, our squad, but showed us the next level to go to, that was the type of player that John Docherty brought in, and that was fantastic for me to have people that I could feed off and learn off as well. I think the success we had with Millwall around that time, it was generally based on the good management, without a doubt. John Docherty and Frank McClintock were fantastic. John Docherty would always get us in, all the young players, and all in the office. A little bit boring every now and again, the same stories over and over again. But he just got a unity. He got us talking amongst ourselves. All the players that had come through the ranks, we was his young lads. We had a great affiliation with each other. Liked playing with each other. We'd gone through the tough times of being young players and becoming young professionals together. And as I say, the boys that he brought in as well, they gave us a belief that we could go on and do bigger and better things. And our team spirit was second to none, and I think that's what took us on to bigger and better things at Millwall. Early May 1988, going to Leeds away, that was our big test. Could we handle the pressure? Leeds were expected to get promoted back to the big time, but we just had this feeling amongst us that we're going all the way here. And to go to Ellen Road and win 2-1 with 4,000 travelling Millwall fans that night, Terry Erlock scoring our winning goal, I think. It just gave us belief that we could go to a big club, big ground, big supporters, and take them on. And played. We didn't win it by chance. We deserved to win that night as well, and gave us belief for the rest of the season. My partnership with Cascarino, when he first came in, he would be 6'4" and I was 6 foot. It was a little bit, these two can't work together. And we got an immediate understanding together. No, just my family would say one thing, his family would say things as well, that it's not ideal, is it, two big boys up front, and but we'd have a chat and it would be like, it is what it is. We're gonna work at it. We're gonna make sure it does work. And the big centre half would more often pick up Cass, and he'd beat him in the air, and the little centre half would pick me up and I'd beat him in the air. So we had a good dominant force aerially when we played. So that was the way we used to play at Millwall. Get it up to the front early, flick on, retain possession, back to midfield, out wide, get the ball in the box. And then we were both good in the air in the box, getting across defenders, far post headers as well. So we were a real force. So we kind of made it work. I had to adapt my game a little bit because I was always a main centre forward as well at the time, and playing with Cass, he was a very dominant main centre forward as well. So I had to adapt a little bit to play alongside him, but I loved that side of it as well because I knew that I could make goals and score goals as well. I used to love playing with little Jimmy Carter, because if I got in trouble and I didn't know where he was, I'd just hook it on behind the left back, and he had such pace that he would get onto it, and it would be like, oh, what a ball that is from Teddy. And it was like, not really. I just know he's that quick, and I put it in behind, and he loves to run, and he'd get on the end of it, and it looked great. So, we had that on one side. Kevin O'Callaghan, who was tricky and clever and played the ball into his feet. Never stopped fucking moaning, by the way, but great to play with, great talent. He could feed a ball into you as good as any, with his lovely little left foot, whether it be drilled into your feet or clipped over centre halves or bent round the defence. He was fantastic. So our forward line was very dominant in those days, and there was goals from those two as well as us, and that's what made us a big force. Is Cascarino a good golfer? Once every 10 rounds he's a good golfer. Moans, don't stop moaning, always has done. Plays off 18 still, probably played off 18 when I did that video with you all those years ago. Moans that he's never got enough shots, but every now and again he'll come up with 44 points and take the money. But more often than not it'll be a 4 right, 4 left, don't know where that one's going. Did anyone see where that went? No, that's Caspia. I remember going to playing with him in Barbados one year. Me and a couple of mates and Cass in a 4-ball. We got these caddies turned up with us, and Cass went to him. Cass went to his caddy. I'm going to tell you something today, son. you're going to go. He said, how long have you been working at this course? And he said, I've been here 15 years, sir. And he went to him, I'm going to take you to places on this course you've never been before. And he certainly did. He sprays it all over the place, but in a fun way as well. Always a giggle on the golf course. We've got to go to Hull now. I don't know if we had to win the game, but we knew that we had to get a good result because we still had one more game at home, which was a tricky one against Blackburn. So we go away to Hull Saturday afternoon, I think. Loads of Millwall fans there again, and we win the game. Kevin O'Callaghan scores the only goal of the game. We win the game 1-0, and we realise that we've been promoted. 4,000 Millwall supporters on the pitch. They were. It's the first time I've ever seen grown men crying. You know, they actually got in down to the tunnel as well. We obviously spent a bit of time out there on the pitch as well, enjoying the celebrations. Came down the pitch, there was Millwall fans getting down the tunnel. A couple got into the dressing room as well, but just wanted to enjoy the party with us, you know. As I say, grown men crying and saying I didn't think I'd ever see Millwall in the now Premier League top division in English football. And it was just unbelievable scenes, sorry. And they'll stay with me forever. Great success with Millwall, getting them to the top flight in English football for the first time, the only time in the club's history, was just amazing moments. And still speak to all the Millwall boys now from those days. You know, we have a get together every now and again. It's going down to every 5 and 10 years now. So we had one about 18 months ago, and it was, you know, the boys are little pot bellies and grey hair and bald heads and all that, but great to be around. Nothing changes because we had great success together, and we look back on it. I still look back on it on some of my fondest memories in football. So we get promoted to Division 1. We're playing against the big boys now. You look at the fixture list, you got Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool. They're all there. They're all there. You know, you've got to play against the big boys. But the club don't want to give us big money on our wages, so just in case we go straight back down again, and rightly so, I suppose. So we've got all sorts of bonuses. So instead of just our wages, we got a win bonus. I was on a goal bonus. I think Cass was on a goal bonus as well. So win bonus, goal bonus, positional bonus, crowd bonus, and all these things added up. I mean, rather than, you know, just your normally weekly wage, we used to walk. There was the laundry room where you could look out to see the pitch, and you could see how many fans there were there. You know, so we were on a crowd bonus. So anything over a certain level, anything over 10,000, we'd get so much. Anything over 15,000, if it was a capacity, we'd get even more and more. So like 10 to 3, someone would be going out down the laundry room and going, it's a full house, lads, it's a full house. We're already in the money before we even play. So come on, let's go out. We get a win bonus as well. We get double our wages again. So it was exciting times for us, you know, not only playing against the big boys, we was, I wouldn't say we was getting in the big money, but we were certainly getting more than what we'd been used to. Cool, I remember the Liverpool away was our first big boy encounter. When you look at the fixture list, going to Anfield, all these big players that we were playing against. I think this was the era of Barnes and Beardsley, and I think Rushy was still playing then. Ronnie Whelan, Alan Hansen was probably the best centre half I ever played against, especially in those times anyway. And we went there, and the Millwall fans were loving it as well, travelling to Liverpool for Anfield. And we ended up drawing 1-1 as well. Paul Stevenson scored our goal. Remember him striking a ball, took a little bit of deflection, flew in at the cop end, and wild scenes from everywhere that we had gone 1-0 up against Liverpool, and yeah, we ain't going to win at Liverpool. We're not going to actually go to Anfield and beat them. We ended up coming away with a draw, so absolutely delighted with that, and showed us that we could compete at the top level. Our excitement of playing in Div 1, we had a fantastic first season. I think we finished 10th in our first season, and then a second season in Division 1 came to a shuddering halt. We topped the table as well at an early stage again in September, but just had a miraculous fall from grace, really. We got on a losing streak that we just couldn't get out of. I actually did my ankle ligaments that year, my left ankle, and was out for a good 9, 10, 11, 12 games, I think, and it was horrible watching the team on a downward spiral and couldn't do anything about it. And by the time I got back, we was on such a bad run that the club were doomed. And probably my most disappointing time in football, that was to have such a high two years before, and then to get relegated was a big body blow to all concerned, really. I think it was 3 months before the end of the season, Cascarino went from Millwall to Aston Villa for $1.5 million, and it was the breakup of our squad, really. I'm not sure who else went around that time, but it was a sign of the times that we weren't on the up. We was on the down now, and that Millwall were going to try and get as much money as they could for what they had at their disposal, really. And for young lads that had all come through the ranks together, it was a bit soul destroying, really, and then getting relegated at the end of that season. So we get relegated. John Docherty gets the sack. Bob Pearson came in and was the manager until the end of the season, but didn't want the job himself. So Bruce Rioch comes in with his assistant, Steve Harrison. Absolutely fantastic for me. Bruce was very, very serious. Loved his football though. Knowledge was unbelievable. Again, it was another one of, when he came in, just teach me, Bruce. Just wasn't everybody's cup of tea, I must admit, but I loved playing for him. It was like, he had so much knowledge. Bruce, just teach me, show me. You know, he used to show me how to take free kicks. He was the first one that showed me how to put the actual, where you pump the balls up a certain side and then hit the ball like they're all doing now with Ronaldo, the way it dips and swerves, and not the bendy one, the dipping one that makes the ball go there. If you hit the actual valve and you hit it in a certain way, it makes the ball fly all over the place, and the goalkeeper doesn't know where to go. So he was the first one that showed me that all those years ago. And again, another beautiful striker of the ball. And he had his assistant, Steve Harrison. Remember him coming in, and he used to do these silly things, and I thought to myself, yeah, I'm not really here to see silly things. I want to learn. I'm still a young lad that wants to go places in my football. I don't want someone mucking about every day. But he was funny, and then he was hilarious, then he was just ridiculously funny, and it was like, but he had a great way of being funny, having a laugh with all the lads, and then it was like, come on in, we've done that, come on. It was like looking after kids. He's like, come on, we're serious now, we've had a laugh, let's get down to serious business. We've got to do our training, we've got to do our running, we've got to do our workouts, we've got to go and do this, got to do that. And he was such a foil for Bruce Rioch. He was brilliant. Brilliant for me. It was my best season goal scoring wise. I'd scored, I don't know how many, but at least 20 by Christmas. And after Christmas, he was like, come on, it's not finished yet, season's not over yet, come on, couple more, get a couple more on Saturday, couple more Tuesday, then I'd get a couple more on the Saturday, and it like, come on, need to keep it going. Got another big game. You haven't done it against a big team this year. We're away at whoever, away at Leeds or Blackburn or whatever. It's like, big game. Need you to score again, you need to lead us. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And he kept me ticking over. So from Bruce being serious and organised, Harry was just fun to be around when training wasn't on. But then when it was on, he was the serious man as well and got things done. Do you want to do a bit of shooting? Do you want to do a bit of crossing? It was like, yeah, come on, Harry. Absolutely brilliant for me. The pair worked in harnessing. So loved playing for them. My best season ever. I think I scored 38 goals that season, but just missed out on promotion. Got into the playoffs, and I remember losing to Brighton in the playoffs. And it was a kind of time for me where it was like, you know, there was a little bit of talk about me leaving Millwall. Blackburn had shown an interest. I'd actually spoken to Blackburn at the end of that season. Millwall had accepted offers for me, and it wasn't until Brian Clough made an approach at Nottingham Forest that Blackburn were in Div 2, Nottingham Forest were in Div 1, and that was where I wanted to go. I wanted to go back to playing the top division, and to go and play for Cloughie, there was no way I was turning that down. Well, that's my story, Teddy Sheringham as a professional footballer. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed talking about it. If you enjoyed it, I'd like you to donate to Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. It'll all come across the bottom there. Give what you can, please.